All right. This is Albert Varacallo with the DuBois Dream. I wanted to bring my good friend and owner of the Chautauqua Hurricane, Sixto Rosario, on just to talk about pitfalls of professional minor league basketball in the U.S. and kind of our experiences and what we've been through, and kind of give some background, some knowledge, and where we see things heading in the future. I think this is really important. And Sixto, I'll let you kind of introduce yourself. Maybe you can give some of your background, your basketball background, how long you've been doing this. So.
Yeah, Sixto Rosario here, Chautauqua Hurricane, out here in Chautauqua, New York, the county. It's not the city. And so, myself, basketball, it started with kids in a parking lot. I didn't play basketball in school. It was more baseball. And so it started as a ministry. And then I was challenged by one of my good friends, Cal Kern, from FCA, on trying to do something different with adults and stuff like that. And we prayed about it, and I met a lady named Tawan who owned the Hurricanes out of nowhere, and they needed a place to practice, so we opened up the facility for them to practice. And then she brought me on as head coach, as assistant coach with Jerome Moss. And so from there, that's where basketball, it just started going. I mean, from the kids 13 years ago, we've been doing it. And then to adults, 4 years together with Jerome Moss. And like I said, basketball for me was boring. But,
oh, really?
Yeah, it was. But, baseball is a thing. But I love it now. There's a passion for it, and so I met a lot of good coaches throughout the year, learned from a lot of good coaches. And right now I've been mentored by our current coach, Jerome Moss, and it's exciting.
Yeah, I got to give a shout out to Jerome because winning coach of the year. You guys obviously top dogs in the PBL. We can talk about that. I didn't know you were a baseball guy to start because I'm a baseball guy too. I mean, all the way up through I was baseball, and then something just kind of clicked in me. I had that urge to just, junior going into senior year is just, something about basketball, just that passion. So
it was at the back end of it.
Yeah. So I mean, I didn't even know that's how it got started. I knew you knew, Tawan, but I didn't know you were coaching with Jerome, and then had the opportunity to then take on the Hurricane because they were originally in Erie, right?
They were when I joined them, they were Jamestown. They went from Erie to Jamestown, and then from Jamestown they came over to the Dunkirk area.
Yeah.
And they went to Fredonia State, and then from there it was just they went to the reservation from there. There's a little travel here and there. And a lot of that is, even in our talk today, a lot of that is gyms not opening up for semi-pro basketball, so that wasn't just everybody, blames owners and this is happening. They don't know how to run business, but it's basically up to the facilities. Some hold them hostage, some don't.
Yeah, and I enjoy that, and I mean I can relate in a sense because you basically go where it's available. Like, you kind of roll with the punches and see what you can do. So, I mean, that's pretty cool how you got started. I mean, as people know who follow the dream, we started with the basketball tournament. I just kind of threw something out there, seeing if it works. We got our whole community behind us, and kind of like with you, like about the youth and community. I know you really relate because that's key in minor league basketball to me. Is if you don't connect with the community, you're done.
Yeah, it's over with.
Yeah, and I know you guys, harp on that all the time. And, once we got in TBT, started looking around for legitimate leagues, it was funny. I mean, did we enter the PBL the same year? Was it? I mean, we had our fourth season this past one. Is it 4 years ago, or do you have a year before that too?
Let's see. The Hurricane was part of the ABA, and then they left the ABA overnight and went and joined the PBL before DuBois joined the PBL.
So that was the year before, right?
The year before.
Yeah, right. The year before. How was that? I want you to talk a little bit about that first year. I got to hear about this because I've never heard about it before. I gotta ask and
from my viewpoint, I didn't understand what I was getting myself into. Yeah. I was just the assistant coach, but as we got into that and I was coaching with Jerome Moss, man, that first year in the PBL felt like pro. It felt like it was the NBA. It carried itself like it was at a high notch, top level, under the G League type thing, and that was the feeling. We went to play in Rochester, and they had an amazing court. And I always remember the court because I would always hear the fans screaming and yelling at us. But man, my feet were freezing because of the ice that was under that court. So I can remember that.
Yeah.
But you know, PBL of old was what they had it. They had some things they had to fix, but you know, it was really good. It was a place. It was a place to be to play basketball.
Do you remember
Players
the first
loved
game?
it. What's that?
Remember the first game?
Yeah. Oh well, first game for us.
First game ever at PBL. Do you remember that one?
No, I don't. I can't remember.
You don't remember it? It doesn't stick with you. Was it
No.
Rochester or anything?
Oh yeah, you know what? The first game for us was Rochester. We got spanked in that game.
I believe it. I believe it. And
we thought we had a lead. We went into halftime, and we were a good group of guys. They were working hard, and we came out of that. We were hyped up. We came out, and the third we had trouble in Rochester, shooting the lights out over there.
Yep. Yeah, they turned it on, didn't they?
They turned it on. It was like they were playing with us in the beginning.
Of course. Well, they had to get something to watch really quick. It was, all right, this is a game. And,
yeah.
I mean, it's funny because, you know, I was thinking back just, you know, going through this outline of what we wanted to talk about is just like first game ever in the PBL for us was against you guys.
Yeah.
And we laugh about it now because, you know, I had no idea what to expect. I'd seen the PBL, like you said, they put it out there, AAA. You know, of basketball is right below, and it was very good. I remember after our first year, the guy from Rochester, the center, went right from the PBL playoffs into the G League playoffs. Like, that's top-notch talent. So I'm looking at this like it's a huge opportunity. We went right from TBT, which was $2 million tournament, into PBL. Can't be that much different. You know, we get told, you know, weather looks clear from the commissioner. We head down and we drive in a blizzard to Chautauqua, New York. And oh man, that was not fun because coming back, our other guys who were driving, because we went basically in vehicles, like just our own vehicles. Yeah. We didn't know what to do. You know, I didn't have money for a bus like Rochester was coming in. I remember the first year, a big mega bus or whatever. But for us, we're driving, guys couldn't see the road. It was ice, and that's what some people don't realize with this. And I know I didn't, and it's been funny. Now it's 4 years. You can learn something new each year, and I know you probably talk about that too. But yeah, first year, I mean, we couldn't have started off with worse weather and a worse traveling. Yeah. You know, we did Chautauqua, came right back in that blizzard, then went the next day to Jamestown, still snowing, and then about halfway through the year, we're the lowest on the totem pole, so they sent us to Owensboro, Kentucky, 2 straight weekends. You know, putting 20 plus hours worth in the car. It was. You know, in a van, we had 7-footer and 6'7", all crammed in a van, and
it was. Yeah. The funny part is like if you would say, I don't know if we should do that. They'll say, well, you should go a day in advance.
Yeah.
You know, you're like, oh.
Right. Yeah, because as you know, and we'll talk about later on too, is just the expenses of everything just get get exorbitant at times, just because it's especially weather can play a big factor in it. If you get bad weather and people don't want to come out, or you get really good weather, especially in our areas, you know this, people want to go outside, you don't get the fans, which is that's how you sustain yourself. This isn't the NBA. We don't have them throwing money down, but I know the goal for both of us is to kind of build from the ground up, and that's how we really see this heading. So I know you have kind of the youth basketball stuff. I can touch on mine too, but you kind of see how it's heading. You got to stand apart from different minor league organizations, because who knows what will happen after the coronavirus if you can't have games next year. What's going to happen? So you got to start with the youth programs, and I know you do a good job with the youth, so maybe you can talk about that.
Yeah, well, I want to go back to the you seeing the buses and all that of the other teams. I remember Ohio came our way, and they had this nice bus that said PBL on the side of it. Ohio bootleggers, and I'm like, man, I'm in a Ford SUV with our guys squeezing in. We had my wife came up with the plan, and it would actually help like for lunches and all that. We're like, well, let's pack lunch, let's pack sandwiches and stuff like that. We've done that, and you look back, you're embarrassed by it, but it was something that you made work, and so you've seen buses like Rochester show up and all that. And you're like, oh, geez,
Yeah. So when you get to youth basketball stuff, I really like that you brought that up, because really minor league basketball is all about just making it work. Like, do what you have to do, because you don't know what's going to be thrown at you each week. Like, guy could just be gone. Your top guy your player could just be out. Like, they could just, or you just don't know what's going to happen. So you try and prepare for the worst, hope for the best. But yeah,
I've had that.
Yeah. So if you want to talk about the youth side of it, or you want to talk about, I mean, I'm really curious about something that you weren't prepared for in minor league basketball when you first got started. I want to hear about this.
Well, the youth side of it all, the youth side, that's important. So, even though, we were working with youth for about 13 years plus before we did the PBL stuff.
Was that baseball and basketball?
We do softball and basketball, but, so we do that. We work with a lot of youth, about 306 youth we work with currently. And so it started with 6 and it grew up to 306 and greater and counting. And out of our program had come a lot of the great teams from Dunkirk that played out, and so we've, this, as we had to finish our season early, and some of those girls have come from our program, and we went 21 or 22-1, so and so that COVID killed us. But the thing is, we need to be a league that separates ourselves from other leagues. Kids have to come first. In this whole sense of, we did AAU, we brought sandwiches to the kids the same way we use that technique with the adults, and it's worked. And then, and so with that, we've always came with this mentality, like, one day those youths will play on our pro teams. So after college, they come out, they can play on this pro team. Because what's next after they graduate from college or come back from the military? What's next? Semi-pro basketball or pro basketball, whatever you want to call it.
If they still have that itch, and not to cut you off or anything, but we've talked about this, even kind of in passing, was it may not even be college or anything else. It may just be high school. These kids want to work and they still love playing the game.
Yeah.
I mean, we had a guy who did that this past year. I know you did too. 20-year-old kid comes in, Connor from our team, he did a great job as far as he's still raw, still learning, but that's kind of the development side of it. I think it's only going to start earlier, like you're talking about with the youth basketball stuff.
Yeah.
So you gotta build that up. You got to build up your program, because I know for me, the best thing that would ever happen to our organization would be a kid works his way all the way up through. We had a kid who was 4 years old starting in our program. If he works his way all the way up through, goes through high school into pros. I mean, I'm even thought of, it'd be really cool to even have a high schooler on the team getting developed that way with the pros, because they do that over in Europe all the time.
Yeah, we've had that right after high school. I've never seen high schooler, but after high school, like right after they graduated, we had a guy who could shoot the ball, really well. And so it's just also, as you bring them on, it's grooming them too, getting them to used to some guys who carry heavy attitudes, and scares them off. But going back to the youth thing, they're important, and I think we could, as a league, we need to focus a lot on the AAU side of it, youth league side of it. They're the future of pro basketball, NBA, all the way down to minor league.
Yeah.
And so we just got to develop. And I think that's the type of league we want to be in. Each team, like each team have an AAU team, and we do this big thing, and it'd be a big tournament, excellent, for our communities and stuff like that. So that's what the youth part is major. It's major for me.
Yeah.
And the adults and all that'll come along. And then your other question was what again? And what was my?
So I'm curious. Like, was there something in professional minor league basketball that you were not prepared for, and how did you handle it? Like, what was kind of the biggest shock to you? I kind of talked about driving in vehicles, and we talked about the big buses, but like, was there something else that you weren't prepared for that you just had to roll with it?
I really can't remember. I mean, other than the financial side of it, not being prepared for the big costs to travel to, to Owensboro, but, we were able to fix that, on the fly. Or driving with a vehicle with a bad alternator or a bad battery or something like that, I mean,
you gotta have a faith to be in minor league basketball, right? Because you're praying the entire time while you're in that vehicle.
But we made it to every game. Flat tire and all.
And that's the biggest thing. And that's, I kind of want to segue into that's mine is they didn't prepare me for teams and owners and people just not showing up. I didn't
Oh yeah,
realize
yeah.
how
That was a big
common that
thing.
was in minor league basketball.
Yeah.
You brought up the financial side of things. Like that's a big part of it. Is you know I remember reaching out to teams that are like all gung ho about coming into DuBois. We get a really good fan base. We have a really
Hmm.
good fan base. They pack the house. Teams see it. They want to come in and play. However, when it's starting to come up, you know, you get an owner who's like, you got to pay for my gas. You got to pay for my van. You got to pay for this. You got to pay. And then you're just like, all right, so I got to do that. And when I travel to you, I got to pay for my own stuff too. Like, it's just, I was very surprised of how quickly people can just like not honor their commitment. So, yeah, I'm an attorney by trade,
Yeah.
and they would even talk about, oh, you got to have contracts signed. I'm thinking to myself, if this team doesn't have any finances, you get them to sign a contract, they can just no show and just fold. And that happens so
Yeah.
often. And I'm sure you've experienced that too. And now it's turned into, 4 years in, all I talk about now is I go directly to the owner. Do I trust the owner himself to show up? And, thankfully surrounded by, especially, always bring up, you and David, just like, I trust you guys no matter what happened, we didn't have a win this year. You knew we were going to show up, right? 6-2. Like,
Oh yeah.
you
Yeah.
just roll with the punches, but it's like, we trust each other. We built that relationship, and that's what you need throughout. And that's how we want to stand apart. It's not just like, just
Yeah.
showing like,
I could agree with all that because it's happened to you, and then a few weeks later it happened to us.
yeah,
And the fans were there, and we split our team up and played, but it was still a bitter taste, and it hurt us. Because then our thought is, will the next team show up,
yeah,
and will the fans think that?
yeah,
And so our challenge though too is with that is our court was about 10 minutes away. It was a great place to play. The school was awesome, amazing. Let us play, allow us to play in their facility. But it was about 10 minutes from where we're based. We're based in Dunkirk,
yeah,
and we're really a Dunkirk team.
yeah,
But we're playing in Brockton, and they've been kind out there. The superintendent's been excellent. I mean, hey, if I'd vote him, if I'd be able to go out there and vote, and give him a great vote or something like that, or some kind of award, I would, because he had a great heart, and he cared about basketball, and so it was awesome.
yeah. And you
Um,
just forming those relationships have been big, and people don't understand like how those relationships are built, because even with us, at our, we're both playing in high schools, and
yeah,
people are opening up their doors, and I couldn't be more thankful for it. But they have other stuff going on, like their activities are first
yeah,
priority there, so you work around them. And that's another thing we talk about rolling with the punches is sometimes you got to adjust the schedule, you got to have extra dates on there. As long as the team's going to show up, you can be flexible, you can kind of get it out there soon enough. But those, when the no shows happen the day of, or a couple hours
yeah,
before, it's tough to bounce back, because I didn't have that. Thankfully, I didn't have that experience. Being in the PBL, we talked about, they were so
yeah,
upstanding. I knew all the teams were going to show. Then the following year, trusted all the owners that they were going to show. My third year, I tried to kind of expand, and I got burned bad, and that was where I really learned my lesson. Third year was my big lesson learning year, and we can kind of get into more like some of the behind the scenes stuff. Obviously don't have to name names, but getting burned by that, it's tough to you don't want to market as much if you don't trust the team. Like if you got a
right,
packed house and you're doing a 5-on-5 scrimmage like you had to do, that hurts. That hurts the fans, that hurts the
yep,
players, it hurts you. You get burned bad. And
yep,
so the teams and owners, that's one of the biggest things I'm gonna keep reiterating, is you need owners that you trust to play against. And it's not even necessarily about the league. It's about,
right,
one person gave me a piece of advice a while back. It was, leagues need you. You don't need the leagues. As long as you have a good group around you that you trust, you can bring in teams left and right. And at the end of the day, G League championship, how much does that mean? These guys are still
right,
trying to go to the NBA. In
right.
our league too, yeah, it's great. You guys had an awesome season. You guys had a great team 60 this year. You did a great job building around your local guys and sprinkling in a few guys from out of town.
Oh
But
yeah,
at the end of the day, we talked about even before this, is the goal is to try and get these guys to the next level, because everyone's ultimate goal is the NBA if you're playing basketball. But you make the most of it as you can. You try and win some games around here, but like you win the championship, that doesn't come with a bonus in our league. Like, I think some people might think that, but that just, you don't have the finances just yet. I mean, it's not there
yeah,
just yet, but I think youth basketball may help that out as far as growing it and building it and forming
yep.
something sustainable.
Oh
So
yeah.
maybe we
And
can start talking about some fun times, not with the games and the
yeah.
teams and trusting. It's maybe we get into like roster. Like maybe you can take me through because you have a few more years on me as far as experience wise. Because my background, I didn't really get into that. I played in college, went out. I had it set. I'm going to be an attorney. I wanted to be a sports agent. Went to an ABA tryout because I still had that niche to play after I graduated law school and passed the bar. Made it on an ABA team. We were ranked top 5 in the nation,
Yeah.
and we were a great team. That was at the time when they were playing on ESPN. We drove the day up. We showed up right on tip off at a game in Brooklyn for ESPN. It's on ESPN network, like the streaming. And I'm like, this can't be normal, right? But surprisingly, it was the norm. And we're getting in there, having trouble. We drive then an hour and a half, 2 hours away to a hotel outside of Brooklyn, and then we have a back-to-back the next day, not on ESPN, and we show up with 5 guys on time, and then the other 4 to 5 show up late. It's like I really got thrown in the fire with the ABA, and here I am thinking I'm going to get. I was oblivious to some things because it was, here you're going to get paid, close to $1,000 a month. You're going to get bonuses. You're going to get this, and
Yeah.
it's only as good as the person who says it. That paper means nothing. I'm an attorney, like I said, but that contract means nothing. They basically just like, we don't have any money. What are you going to do? So that's when I realized, I was like, if I ever do this myself, like, I'm going to make it about the community. I'm going to build it from the ground up the right way. Like, it's not about, this glitz and glam and trying to put on a show. It's about the youth and the community.
Yeah.
But that first year, we had an amazing team. And it's not about, the talent. It's about, we talked about too, it's about guys, good guys, obviously can play some basketball, but that get it in the long run. Like, you can tell the guys really get it. And thankfully, we were able to stick together. A lot of guys quit. It's funny.
Yeah.
A lot of times, all you have to do is just show up, right? Like, you show up long enough, you're going to end up like being one of the top teams or top players. Like, that just happens. Like, that's, I've never been a guy who jumps out of the gym or anything. I just keep showing up. And that's what I recommend to a lot of people. And that's what I respect about you. We talk about just showing up. So my background's in the ABA. I've seen that. I mean, that was back in 2015. So now we're getting up to, actually that was probably 2014, 2015. I'm going on 5-6 years now, seeing the ABA. I'm like, okay, PBL, this has got to be, more legit. And it was. But as you keep going through, it's again, you get into this and then you try and form your roster. And
that's the hard part.
Out of town looks more appealing, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Out of town talent.
Yeah. How we did it was we just did a tryout.
Yeah. First year?
What's that?
First year you did a tryout.
Yeah, we just did tryouts. And from there on, we did tryouts, $50 to come in, try out. And it was always a small group. And then we would end up getting guys sending us video, and we watch some of the video, and then we talk to them, and then we bring them in. And so we've done that a lot to build up, on how to do things. And a lot of it's almost the same. It really doesn't change. We've gone away from highlight video. We started, this year was the year that we did the tryouts up in Erie, up in Pittsburgh, and we searched for guys like that. And we had some local guys as well. But a lot of how we built our roster was going to other people's tryouts, and seeing the talent that wasn't signed, NPL up in Buffalo, they had one, we sent a coach, it was, a coach and another assistant coach and my son went together to find guys, we ended up, I think it was one of our guys came from there, but then another guy came with him, and a lot of it's like who they know, and then there it is. But we've grown from that. We're not there anymore. We're looking for that player that fits where we're going as a team, as a unit, as a league, and so it's different. And this year was amazing. I mean,
you had a nice group. I gotta commend you on that because you guys were good on the court, and you could just tell like there was a different feel to it. So
and a lot of it's that we've learned from our bumps in the road on the type of talent that you want, and who fits the program, the type of schemes you come up with. I have written down here, I think the first year we took over, we went, first year, we were 3 games and 16 losses. And the second year, 6-10. And the other year was 9-6, 9-7, and 11-3. But it was throughout that, Coach and I have been searching for talent, and we've been growing our base. We bring guys in now. We'll sit and talk with them to see where they're at and see what's their main goal. If it's about money, we don't discuss that with players. And the one thing that Coach and I, because he helps me through this process, we really talk about, we got to be authentic.
Yeah.
We can't promise them something we don't have. So just tell them what we have and be real with it. This is what we have. This is what we can offer. That's it, And, guys have really, come out. They've enjoyed that. And, we played Uno with our guys this year, So
that was the game.
it was
That
just
was the go-to game.
it was competitive, man. I lost that game. But anyways, Uno flip, that was a new one I learned.
Okay.
But it was just amazing. We had team dinners with the guys, and it's just to build that roster. It takes years to really get to where you want it to be. Next year, we're hoping that it's the same thing. Where you add a newer guy to that. This year was about getting a young talent. The years before, all those guys they've been in leagues. They've played in the ABA. They played overseas. They played everywhere. So each a lot of the guys come with different attitudes and desires and stuff like that. And it's draining sometimes. So it's about new. It's about something. And so this year was a little bit different.
Yeah, definitely. The cool thing about your group is, it's tough to keep guys around for multiple years, especially when you're not offering much. And,
right.
like that, even with me coming into the ABA, I was thinking, oh yeah, you can get paid, $1,000. I can go right to my student loans. All this, it's kind of my side hustle. But really, once you get down to the nitty gritty, a lot of this financial stuff, you just need to put on the game and get your road games. Like that's where all the financial stuff goes, especially meals and stuff all that. Like it just drains it. And there's not much left over. So you really need to get guys who have the right mindset as far as like you talked about, if it's about money, it's like, sorry, but people, they don't really get it's not really there. Like the money's not like they think, G League isn't bringing in it's not a cash cow. The NBA is funding it. Like even the WNBA top women's league, NBA is funding that too. Like the NBA is they have their different streams of income that are coming through. Minor leagues, like we had talked about it. We talked about this at the end. Like if we can't get any fans in the stands, there's no point even in playing the game because unless you have these top business sponsors. But the business sponsors, I know in my area especially, they want to see that you have like some fans and a following because that's how they get their marketing. That's how you keep in the community. But if you don't have anyone at your games, like why are they sponsoring you? Like basically sponsoring a Y League team, which is good too, but usually they don't do that for adults. They do that more for the youth, right? So
but it's great you're touching on that because sponsors in our area, we have a couple really good sponsors. A lot of actually they're they all add up. But it's the bigger sponsors that that can invest and sponsor big. Look at semi-pro as a high risk, low return, and they won't even invest. And you're like, do you believe this is what we're trying to do? We're and they won't invest. I mean, I've sat with a lot of people, and they hear you out, but then at the end there's nothing, and you're like, geez, so then you rely on
a lot of those. You got to push through that, and we were lucky enough in our area, like with with the hospital supporting us. They give a lot to us, which is awesome as far as their support and their partnership, and we try and give them the exposure and the marketing that that comes with our team because it's different. Like in our area, we're a small town. I know David Lancaster's the same way. It's you're trying to build. You have a small community. You get these businesses who support you, and I can't thank them enough. I mean, I love those supporters. It's amazing what they do for us to keep us running. That's why we try and give back. And that's why it's about community, and that's why you see these teams, they fold like crazy. Like that's why I'm so pumped. Like next year, going into season 5, you'll be in season 6. Like you already made it past there. Like you see a lot, but this virus is something we've never experienced gone through. However, I look at it as just another bump in the road, right? 6'2". It's a bigger bump than usual, but it's how are we going to make it through? And we've thrown some ideas out there. Obviously, first and foremost, got to be about the youth. Got it. Youth and community. If you don't have those foundations, you're done. Like you're best packing it unless you just want to basically write off and throw money down the toilet. That's how I look at like, and that's what happened, I think, a little bit in the original PBL. Like it looked great, and people looked at it as, oh man, we're going to get so much money from this, and the players probably did get paid pretty well, but in the end, the return wasn't there. Like you can probably talk about it too. Like no matter who you get on your roster, unless it's a local homegrown talent, and I know I have a following, I know some of my other local guys do, I'm sure your group does too, but like whoever you bring in, you're not bringing in LeBron, you're not bringing in Steph Curry. Like the fans, like they respect and appreciate talent, but like we're now in season 4 and our kids' night, we pack the house every night, no matter who's on the floor, just because you want to provide good entertainment. You're about the youth, about the community. They love the giveaways too. That's another thing. You got to give away. That's another double-edged sword because that is money out of your pocket. It's basically a break even, but still it's good for the community, and that's what we've been all about. I know you're about the same thing. It's so funny. Like maybe you can talk about that just with the roster. Like in the end, it doesn't matter too much like who is on that roster as long as you have the brand and you keep it going, right?
Right. That's totally true. I mean, like it's about the community, and we want our players to understand the same thing. And even new teams that are looking on today, it's about your community. The right player impacts the community, which helps out everything else. Players got to promote themselves in the community. They got to be out in the community. And some guys look at it like, oh no, we have to do this, but it's important to the brand. It's important to the organization, to the community, to the kids. I mean, the kids are important to all of us in our league. And a kid sees a player doing something negative in the community, they're going to come back and say something to that player. I've heard that happen. That was another thing. Something negative they seen. Well, you did this, you did. You're like, oh my goodness. So it's important that players understand that the community matters, and it's about building that fan base. The reality of it all is who pays the refs. That's a tough one. And you got to get the fans in to help cover those costs. The facility costs. New teams that are looking on. Hey, you're looking at ref fees, facility fees and stuff like that. Giveaways, like you said. That's the one thing this year is in the PBL that we played in. That it's been amazing, and fans have been there. And giveaways have been there, and people have been supportive, and the community is amazing. We went to yours, and all I kept taking picture was, I remember I told my wife, take a picture of the fans, forget the game, the fans, because you packed that place, and it was amazing. It was like taking pictures there. The other thing is the players on a bench, because the fans are behind us, their attitude and actions matter. To the kids sitting behind them.
I'm glad you brought that up too. That's perfect. That's spot on, because that's why I know that's what we've talked about in building is like, sometimes with more talent comes more ego. So sometimes it's better to get a middle of the road guy, because I think some players aren't sure, like, am I even good enough to play in this league? But for me right now, I'm slowly realizing and learning, like, I'd rather take a less talented player who's more committed to the community and the process and the brand over some super talented guys, because we've had some, top D1 guys, overseas guys coming in, really we're building a lot. But, this past year, I couldn't have been happier with our roster. I mean, we weren't winning at all. Some games we were getting smacked, but like in the end, it felt better than some of the wins we had the previous year, because it was the feeling, and I didn't really have to worry. And, I knew the guys were there for the right reasons. And, it's difficult. It can be difficult. I know you've been drained in the past too. Like it's just, and it's not that people are bad. They just are misinformed. They come in with an expectation. You throw out a good graphic design on a player, they're thinking, they're hot stuff. And you see the fans like at our kids' night game, like kids are getting in free. That's how you pack the house. Kids get in free, and that's a good thing. Like you want the kids there, they have fun. Parents come out, they may be the paying parents. However, like you said, you got to cover the ref fees. If you're doing a giveaway, like T-shirts cost money. You got all the extra fees with it, and then you got an away game the next week where you got to spend close to $1,000 on a hotel. I don't think people really get like, you build it up, but then it comes back out, and you just it's that constant, back and forth. And then if you have one swing and miss on a, we're baseball guys and softball guys, like
I
we
have
know
plenty of those.
you swing and miss on a home game, and you go to an away game, like especially when we're doing 2 back-to-back Owensboro weekends, you're done for. That's why, like, I'm really appreciative of the sponsors we have. That helps with the away expenses, but then also when the fans come in, it's all about the youth and community, and that's where we're not sure where this is heading with if we can have fans next year, but we're going to make something work, because I think the entertainment side of it in your community and mine, it's like it's worth it to make a couple games. Just cover it and give them something to look forward to, because right now I know I'm itching for sports. I know you are too. I'm tired of watching ESPN Classics or whatever.
Watching all of them, whether as they come up or even go online and watch them.
So we've talked about kind of, teams and people you want to partner with. I know we definitely don't want to play too many games in a schedule. Like, games always sound good at the start, but then once you really get into the nitty gritty and your alternator or whatever goes out, you're like, how many more road trips do I have to make? Like, you want to keep that sweet spot with the teams. We talked about roster. The other thing I definitely want to talk about is, like, other thing that I wasn't prepared for was how many people it takes to actually put on a game day. I'll let you start.
Well, it takes a family of
literally, right?
Our whole family. Well, we all, when we go to DuBois, we take an entourage, but everybody's doing something. But these very same people, from my sister, my sisters, my wife, my sister-in-law, my mother-in-law, my daughters, my kids, our friends, coaches, everybody. It takes a network of people to make this happen, and everybody is important. Not everybody slacks. Maybe if one person does, we all feel it. It's just so many people that are involved. Like, you couldn't even put a number to it, but you could put like the passion they have. They carry that same passion. Our group, we say, well, go support another team, and we should support, like, there was a game I think you played out somewhere up in Jamestown, and I just remember, my sister-in-law going out there with my cousin and them, and they're supporting the DuBois Dream. We do that a lot. So as a family, our thing is, is to go out and support other organizations. So, work together on the behind the scenes. We have a person who takes care of the interns. We have a person who takes care of, game day situations. And it might be the same person, because,
people, they all gotta wear different hats, right?
Yeah, well, and it's huge, because one person doesn't make it, the rest of us suffer. Me on a bench is really pointless, because if one person doesn't make it, then I got to go fill in. So everybody's important. From gym day, from game day preparation to practice, stuff like that. We have people who prep for practice. They run the scoreboards. They get the waters. They make food. They do all that stuff. So there's a lot of things that happen, and I would put a number, if I had to, of maybe 15 to 20 people on my end that have helped make this possible. They're all important. And so
I'm with you. And it's funny. I don't think people really know, like, minor league basketball, you got to wear different hats. Like, I'm putting up the banners before the game, and we have so many people, so many great volunteers. We call them, the Dream Inner Circle. So many awesome people that help out this dream. But at the end of the day, there's still so much, like, our first game, home opener, we can't get the music started. Like, you got to figure out, you just got to make it work. So I definitely wasn't prepared for all that. And I can't thank all of our helpers. And I know you got a family behind you. We got our dream family in a sense. And it's just one person isn't there, can't make it. And you can't really, a lot of volunteers help just to make game day work. Live stream's not there. You got to bump someone over, and someone who, it's just one thing can throw it off. So it's just, you need that group that, like you said, is passionate. That's really the biggest thing for me, is just passion, that for the game, for the organization, and what are they passionate about? Like, you got to give them something to be passionate about. Show that it's about the community and the youth, and it helps get more people on board. Our group, like when they're traveling with us, like we may have one main van from our sponsors, and then we have
my sister-in-law or someone else driving, or 3 or 4 drivers, they all volunteer their time, gas, and
Yep.
all that. We try to help. But if you don't have enough people come in the game before, that all falls on the
Yep.
volunteers and help. And, we've been so blessed. We've traveled with our group to, where is it? New York City area, Pittsburgh area, and they're really a blessing. So shout out to them if they're going to be watching this.
Yeah, that's right.
We appreciate you. Without you, the hurricane wouldn't be here. Put it like that, because
And that's perfect, Sixto, because you're right. Like they basically pay to be a part of it. Like a lot of those helpers, they pay. So with us, what we've really started, I know you talked about the team meals and stuff, really forming that camaraderie. It's invaluable. So, I mean, that may be kind of what we kind of take a segue right into, what motivates you. And for me, it's kind of the similar thing is their passion, obviously, family for you, and, the fans are the biggest one, the kids, the youth, the community, seeing them smile, having fun is the biggest thing for me. So I'm sure you're the same way. It's just what motivates you has got to be the family aspect and all that, right?
Yeah, it is. And, if I would sit there and say, hey, we're not going to have a hurricane season next season or the season after or something, you're going to get the question, why?
Yeah.
And you see the passion, you hear it in their voices, because this is part of their lives.
Yep.
And so, it's important. It is. And family and community is important. Kids are really important. And, like I said, without them, where would we be?
Yeah, that's what it's about. And if you stray away from that, again, you're done. We've seen way too many teams fold. The biggest thing from here is just I want to see teams succeed. And that's where it's like if you get involved with leagues that charge, kind of exorbitant fees, and you have to travel all over the place. That's stuff that I've kind of picked up along the way. It's like you really got to limit that as much as you can if you want to sustain it. Like you got to find that good group. They're going to show up, so that way you don't have to worry about game day.
Right.
They all are able to put their money back into their organization, because if you have strong organizations, you're going to have strong league. It's not the opposite. It's not a strong league. Make strong organizations. It's the opposite. If you have strong teams, your league is going to be set apart. And I know that's what we're trying to build from the ground up. It's not the showy thing. It's let's make it about youth. Let's make it about community. Let's build it from the ground up. And if we're all strong teams together, and we know we're all showing up, like we can do the slow build as long as we want. I see this growing. And, we had talked about, I don't even know, I can't remember if this was on air or not, but it's just about the high schooler Jalen Green making the leap to the G League. It's just, we talk about that all the time. The youth coming all the way up through to the pro team. The sky's the limit at that point. It's honestly, that's invaluable. So I kind of want to, maybe we can wrap things up. I know we've been talking a long time, and this is kind of about common pitfalls. And, maybe if you want to give a piece of advice for anybody looking to get into minor league basketball, maybe talk about the PBL if you want to as well. But, just any final words you have, Sixto?
All I really have to say is just make sure that you have everything in order. Make sure that's it.
That's a high standard, though. You think that's easy, right?
It's not easy, though. For us, it's taken us 4 to 5 years to do it. Year one was tough, but just make sure that you have it all in order, or try to at least have an outline for the a 5-year plan or something like that. But in detail, the first year how you're going to do it, because what I've seen are one and dones.
Yep.
A lot of teams joining the leagues, and they're there, and then their logo's there, and it disappears. They're no longer up and running anymore. Why is that? It's a lot of it is cost. A lot of it is stuff like that they didn't prepare for. You really have to have you have to be strong when you come into this thing, knowing that first few years there's nothing to be made, really. You could think, and you can hear a lot from other people, oh, there's a lot to be made. You do that.
You hear a lot of those people, they talk up really loud, and then you're like,
yeah,
I can kind of show you. But
so my thing is just make sure, I'm just going to say that again, make sure you have it in order. In order meaning your finances. If you don't have millions of dollars. The bottom line is, if you don't get people through the door, you're going to be paying out of your own pocket.
Yep.
To keep things going.
And that's per game. That's every game. If you don't, yeah.
And that's about $1,000-something a game. And the other thing is, ref fees are just going to go up from here. So, when you hear people say they're 400 or 500, 600, it's going to be that way. So prepare for those things. Prepare for, the finance part of it. Prepare vehicle wise, so make sure you have a reliable vehicle, because 9 times out of 10 you're going to use your vehicle.
I'm surprised how many people didn't drive when I first got into this. And
I know.
But
go ahead.
I don't know if you got anything else, but I kind of want to piggyback off of that, because that's my biggest thing too. Is the biggest thing I'll say is limit your expenses.
Yeah.
Like that's my go-to, is limit your expenses. I remember year one I went into it as like, if I have the least amount of expenses, at least I know we can make it through. And that's usually the biggest thing. I'm sure you feel the same way. A lot of time when you start seeing, it's like, can we make it through? Can we make it through the season? You plan for stuff, but you never know what's going to happen. Your shot clocks may go down. Like it's
right.
Like you can plan for stuff, but at the end of the day, you just got to make it work. So limit your expenses.
Yeah.
Roll with the punches and make it work. And surround yourself with good people. Like, find the people who you talked about, like, who are just passionate, that like live and breathe like kind of the team and the brand. Like, you end up finding out, I think we had talked about this before, especially with players and other people, you find out about a month in like what someone's really about. And people will come and go each season, and they have, life happens. But a lot of times with the new ones, I've started to pick up, like, after about a month, you really find out. And I'm hoping, like, I've made the mistake in the past, like, moving forward, it's like, can I get to know someone a month before the season? That way I know starting up, like, what exactly am I dealing with right now? Because, it's hard to hide what someone's about. And I'm sure you've been burned too in the past. It's tough. Like, once they pass that month test, that's kind of what I've noticed. Once you get past that month, you start to see a little more, and see if a guy is ready to quit at that point.
Right. That's true.
Just be ready to be uncomfortable. Get comfortable being uncomfortable in the minor league scene. But I got to give you a shout out, Sixto. I appreciate you, getting on here. We always have like really good conversations, and I trust and respect you and your organization. And we battle on the court, but off the court, like, this is what I mean. Like, it's got to be this type of relationship. So I'm definitely thankful for the Hurricane and what you guys do. And congrats. You had a great season. I know you continue to build. You built from the ground up. Us on the court, it looked like we took a step back, but I'm so excited for our local talent now. I know you're building from your youth all the way up through. So hopefully we get through this virus stronger. I think we will, because I think we're figuring out different ways to sustain virus situation. So I'm excited for whatever happens next season. Either way, we keep talking. So
I appreciate you and your organization. You guys have definitely blessed us when going to your area, new teams you want to join. You're gonna have, it's gonna be a fun time in DuBois. It's gonna be a fun time in Lancaster. It's gonna be a fun time in Chautauqua. Chautauqua is gonna be a hard time, because we are a tough team. And, as even in Rochester and those areas as well, it's gonna be a rough time, or a tough, fun time. But like I said, it's been a blessing to know you, talk to you, and even though we joke around, players don't realize, sometimes you say, hey, that's your ref, and then you're talking to me. I'm like, oh gosh, you have fun on the court. But
you got to, right?
At the end of the day, we could talk, we could joke around, we could pray for each other, which we hope do a lot. And that's the exciting part about this. And I'm glad to have met you and David and many of the people we have met throughout this minor league. Basketball.
Plenty of prayers being said back when we talk about.
I can't wait to be called the league champs one day, Hey. But no, shout out to all the guys who played this year in the PBL. Next year we're coming. It's going to be a great season. Build it from the ground up. We thank you for just believing in all our teams and the programs and helping us get this thing off the ground. And we thank you for that.
That's well said. And you help up our level, Sixto, with your team, the talent you guys got, and DuBois isn't a basketball area. I always say yet, but
Yeah.
we're coming. Like we got you. We're coming. So yeah, I just want to say thank you again. I appreciate you spending kind of your Friday night. I'm looking forward to getting this out there, seeing any feedback people come back with. But really, at the end of the day, it's all love, and I'm really excited for where this partnership with our group is heading. So.
Yeah, same here.
Take care of yourself, Sixto. Yeah, I know we'll be talking again soon, and congrats again on a great season. And
thank you.
Hopefully we won't. Hopefully we can talk about some more positives in the floor, not the pitfalls. So.
I know.
I'll talk to you later.
All right, sounds good.